song. I'm not just saying that either.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, I think it's one of those evergreen songs. It's just a fun summer song, and hopefully we'll always have summer, so it should never go out of style.
Did you? So I assume that you write that.
I did not. A
Okay.
lady named Lauren Spring and a guy named Colin Black wrote that. Lauren lives in Port St. Joe, which is
Mm.
on the Gulf Coast, and Colin lives across the pond somewhere. I'm not real sure,
Oh, okay.
but but they were writing in Nashville and wrote that song. I guess he had vacationed there quite a bit, so he knew a lot about it. But it'd been around for a long time, and nobody would cut it. Everybody, it'd been on hold, and people wanted to do something with it, and knew it and liked it, but nobody would cut it.
Mm.
So when I heard her do it, when we were doing a Rider in the Round thing together, I told her I wanted to do it. Of course, I was a little nervous about it because the demo was a little poppy. Um, and so I sent it to my producer and said, "Hey, man, do you think we can make this thing a little more country?" And he said, "Oh yeah, we can make it country." So I was nervous until we got the final mix back, but I think it turned out pretty good and
I thought it
did,
did too.
didn't make me come across as a sellout.
Yeah. So you are. Before we get into what Claire sent me, I want to know a little bit about Jason Byrd. You are a great singer, and tell us about your what got you into performing and all that good stuff. I'm really interested.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, I just, I was always around music growing up. I grew up in the country, and we didn't have a lot of options as far as entertainment went, television and stuff like that. So radio was always on. Um, so we always listened to country music, and that's what I grew up on was country music and gospel music and church and stuff like that. Nobody in my family really sang or did it for a living or anything. People played a few instruments and that kind of thing, but nothing professional.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I always loved music, and then as I grew older, I found out that I could sing a little bit, and decided I'd mess around with it some, and just really fell in love with it, and just kept going with it, for
Yeah,
a whole lot, you know.
that's awesome. Where did you? Who was your influences growing up?
Well, I listened to a lot of the older guys, the legends, George Jones and Merle Haggard, Conway,
Mm.
Don, Williams and Statler Brothers, just all of those guys
Oh
back
yeah.
back in the day that were that's just what was on the radio. And then we had, the big piece of furniture that was our turntable and radio and tape player, 8 track and all, that kind of thing. It's a
Oh
piece of furniture.
yeah.
Remember those big
Oh
things that were in the living room?
yes, yes. My grandmother had one.
They usually quit working, so you'd set your TV on top of it. And then when that TV stopped working, you put your new TV on top of that TV. So it was kind of like the beginnings of Jenga. But no. So I mean, I just listened to those records over and over and over again, and I kind of went away from country, not away from it, but I wasn't really as impressed with country whenever the urban cowboy days came around. It was
right.
it was a little poppy, for
Mm-hmm.
me. Um, there were still some people sprinkled in there that I really still enjoyed, but
Yeah.
just started kind of learning other music and stuff like that. But my heart was always into country. And then fast forward into the 80s, mid 80s, early 90s and stuff, with country music, traditional country music
Mm.
came back full fledged. So
Mm-hmm.
it was at that point, that I went back and started listening even more. Well, I guess Randy Travis was back in 83 or 4, somewhere
Oh
around there.
yeah. Yep. Yep.
He's really the one that got me back to listening to country music all the time. Um, but then I went back to listening to some of the other stuff that had been out that I may not have caught on the radio. But ever since then, man, whenever I got back into it, that's just what I've always done is along that traditional country, 90s country kind of vein.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's you're talking my language, man. I tell you, that's 80s and 90s country is that's the whole theme of this show. And I told Lori that my whole vision and desire for this show is to give a space for these 80s and 90s icons and legends. I want to let people know they're still around, they're still touring, making music, and I want to promote the hound out of them and just honor them because they were just such a pivotal point in my life
Oh,
of just great music.
absolutely.
So yeah, and so it's that's
Well, I
really
appreciate
cool.
you doing that, and I appreciate people that do that and try to keep that going because, you know, I heard somewhere not long ago that traditional country and 90s country music is like one of the most listened to formats on the streaming services now.
Yep.
And it's the younger people, which is, you know, really encouraging. Because you're talking about the generation of kids that didn't ride around in the back seat of their mom and dad's car listening to it growing up, or
Yes.
their grandma and grandpa, you know what I mean? So they had no idea that it existed. Some of them probably don't even know who Garth Brooks is, you know, which is hard to think about.
It is, yeah.
But they're getting turned on to it, you know, and it seems to be that that's growing. And you see all these 90s acts back out there really working their tails off now and getting a lot of dates. So I'm excited for them, and that's good news for people like me that are, you know, traditional artists as we move forward.
You're not kidding, man. We were at a we live. Let's see, me and my associate producer, we live up in Blairsville, Georgia. That's in the Northeast Georgia mountains.
Yep.
And it's right down from Hiawassee, and Hiawassee is about 15 minutes away. And so Hiawassee has this music venue called Anderson Music Hall. It's been around for decades, and they mainly cater to that 80s and 90s country music crowd. It's about a 3,000 seat venue. We go all the time. Anyway, long story short, a few weeks ago they had the big fall festival, and every night they bring in a different artist, usually from those decades. And what I noticed for Jody, Messina, Shenandoah, Diamond Rio, there were so many like college age kids singing the song, standing up, singing 2 Dozen Roses. Of course, that's out again with Luke Combs.
Right.
It's just cool. Just going with what you said, you know, there's a younger crowd that digs Meet in the Middle and all these great songs.
And they absolutely should, because, you know, the difference between what went on back then and what's happening today, it seems like, is that we've lost the ability of the song and the singer and the musicians and everything to come together and create a masterpiece. It just seems like it's either one or the other. It's not all, you know, but you think about all those great country songs back in the 90s and the late 80s, that every piece to that puzzle come together to make that song awesome. You know, the hit song would not be the same without that guitar lick, or the lyrics, the way they were composed and things like that, you know, so it all worked together. Now it just seems like there's some, you know, lyrics out there, but it's just noise, really. Everything's so crunched together and compressed, you just don't feel it like you used to, you know, and I hate that.
Yeah, I do too. I can't stand it. I do not feel I don't feel the emotion, the power of it. I don't, a lot of times, Jason, I don't even hear a good story like I used to in the 90s.
Right. Well, and you're right. And I'm a big story guy. I love stories in my songs. And, you know, I can remember vividly riding down the road when that song Reba McEntire had, He Gets That From You, came out, and having to pull off the side of the road, man, because it was just such a powerful song. And just listen without having to worry about driving or something. It just was something, you know, to hear that kind of stuff. You just don't get it anymore. And I'm not cutting anybody down that's in the business, man. I'm happy for their success and everything that they're doing. And there's some good writers out there, some very talented people. There's no doubt about it. But what they're doing, the majority of them, is just not country music. I don't know how else you can explain it.
You're right.
It's just horrible to me. It's not horrible because the music's horrible. It's horrible that they try to misrepresent it as country music.
Agreed. It's horrible. It's okay. I'm just kidding. I've still got some friends that are in it.
Oh, I do too, but maybe they'll cancel me.
Yeah. Hey, that makes you more famous these days. You get canceled, and all of a sudden, bam. Did you were you a big you're talking about Reba, were you a fan of, because I was telling someone this just the other day that, you know, in the 90s it wasn't just the men singers, the females were kicking ass.
Oh yeah.
As well, you know, you got your Pam Tillises, your Lorries, Winonas, and Rebas, and Patty Loveless, you know, so
yeah, it was awesome. I loved all of those girls. Martina McBride. You know, she was something. And, you know, I go back and remember the Kendalls. You know, that was a singing lady, you know, that sang with them.
Oh, my gosh.
Emmylou Harris. And, you know, I mean, you can go on and on. There's been a lot of successful women in country music, even especially in the 90s. And they were right there neck and neck, you know. And and Reba, of course, and Martina had their stuff. As soon as one hit the top and was coming back down, there was another one passing it, you know. But I
Wow.
miss their songs and their music and their singing and stuff.
You said the Kindles, right?
Yeah,
That's crazy. I have not even thought about that until you just. I mean, it's heaven's just a sin away.
right. Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yes, yes. I
Thank
just
God for the radio. Yeah, man.
yes, yes. Thank God for the radio. 1983. Heaven's just a sin away was 1977. Good night. I forgot,
Well,
man. I need to. That's some good stuff right
I'll
there,
give you
Jason.
something to listen to tomorrow. Now that you,
You're not kidding, man. Man, that's good stuff right there. Um, so tell me about, and we're going to be promoting this as well. Um, New Kid in Town. You
mm,
recorded that with one of my heroes, and I kid you not about that, Jason. I
yeah,
had every single Billy Dean album that there ever was.
yeah.
When I was 8, 9 years old, outside riding my motorcycle, I'd have my little Walkman in. I'd be singing to the top of my lungs, Billy Dean, Little Texas, and How Ketchum. But Billy Dean was
Yeah.
at the and I still have the cassettes. So
Oh
tell me
yeah.
how you got hooked up with Mr. Dean and this song, New Kid in Town.
Well, Billy and I grew up, down the road from one another. He lived in Gadsden County, which is about, it abuts my county, Leon County. I live in Tallahassee, and he lived over near Quincy.
Okay.
Now he was a little bit older than me, but we had a lot of mutual friends,
Mm-hmm.
So I never like knew him back when he was growing up, but as I started singing more, some of the people that I knew that were from over that way, and even those that lived here in Tallahassee that knew Billy, told me about him and stuff like that. And even my first band that I played with, Billy used to play with them a little bit.
Oh, cool.
But so I just kind of ended up meeting him through, mutual friends and stuff, a long time ago. And we did some shows together here and there and everything. And of course, his career was doing its thing, and mine was just kind of trying to get there.
Mm-hmm.
But we just always kept in touch, and as I got back into doing more and more of the music and got back into it full time a few years back. I did some more shows with Billy and saw him again and just kept in touch with him and everything. And whenever I was getting ready to do this Christmas song, I wanted to make it something cool. I wanted it to be a duet. So
Mm.
he was just one of the first people I thought to reach out to because I've just always really liked Billy's singing. He's a heck of a singer, and if you don't think so, sing his songs. I mean, he's a very good singer,
You're kidding.
and just a solid guy. So I shot him a text, and he shot me a text right back, man. He said, I'd love to. So we got on the horn and talked about how we're going to do it. We're going up, and Billy and my producer are the same guy. So that made it pretty easy.
Yeah.
Brent Ray, I don't know if you know Brent or not.
Brent Ray?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, I don't, but I'll check him out.
Yeah, his family used to own a place in Panama City called the Ocean Opry, and it was it was a country music place that they did shows, all the time, and all the big acts would come through there, back in.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know what year it was that they shut that down, but he and his brother both moved up to Nashville, and his brother, trying to think of his name because I've never met him. I'll think of it in a minute, but he plays guitar for Kenny Chesney.
Oh, okay. Nice.
But anyway, so that got off topic a little bit there. But anyway,
No, you're good.
so Billy and I got in there and did it, cut it and everything, and I was just really excited to get it done. And Brent sent us the mix of it, and I think it turned out really good. I'm happy about our cut on it. Didn't really realize how much it had been cut until I cut it. But kind of like if you think about getting into the lawn business, ride down the road and look at all the lawn trailers.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's. I like it. I like it a lot.
I think it turned out really good, man. I'm proud of it, and I hope that Lori, when she hears it, will be proud of it because Keith wrote it with Carly Putnam and
yes.
Don.
Well, that's. She does. She's very proud of it, by the way.
I'm glad to hear that.
She let's see. It was 2 weeks ago, Jason. I went to see Lori, right not far from here in Gainesville, Georgia, and after the show, we had a scheduled interview, and she brought it up. Yep, she brought up New Kid in Town and talked about Billy Dean and Jason Byrd.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, yeah. So you've
Awesome.
already, yeah, you were mentioned then, and it is it's a great one. I've only heard a couple other. I've heard Kathy Mattea's version, and but no, y'all stands out to me. You know, just have y'all's voices are. By the way, y'all's voices. There's great magic there. It just blends, and it felt really good when I listened to New Kid in Town.
I appreciate it. Maybe we need to start a duo like Brooks and Dunn. Try to get back out there.
Hey, well, you know what?
Byrd and Dean, baby, or Dean and Byrd.
Hey, that's not a bad. Well, then they might think it's Billy and Tracy.
Well, you know that may be, but hey,
hey, that'll bring in the crowd.
Sing Watermelon
Yeah.
Crawl.
Hell, I would too. Can you hear that, Jason? Or is that too?
I can. Yeah.
We're following the star.
I was gonna play just a smidgen of it for the listeners.
Shining brighter. Oh man, won't you help us if you can? He shook his head, but he pointed his hand. There's a new kid in town, and he's lying in a manger down the road. There's a new kid in town, but he's just another baby, I suppose. Oh no, there's a new kid in town here in Bethlehem.
So good.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Jason, you got to tell me, where do you get or who influenced your runs? Like when you went to, you're like, there's a new kid, you know, that little, that's some good stuff, man.
Oh, I appreciate it. You know, I guess it's probably a little bit of, well, you know, you had some Whitley in there.
Mm-hmm.
Then, you know, Garth Brooks had great vocal aerobatics, is what I.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I listened to his stuff ad nauseum. Mark Chestnut, you know, George Jones. I mean, you know, just anybody that you can think of that was, you know, a technical kind of singer.
Good.
But you know, I'd like to just try to take a little bit from each one of them, because, you know, there's already those guys I need to be.
Oh yeah.
I worked really hard for a long time trying to develop my own sound.
And you do.
I think I have. I hope I
think you have too. I think it's awesome. That's what I tell people all the time. I sing and write songs as well. But I have about 5 that I draw from. You know, and years ago, I just took those 5 voices, and I wanted to think, how can I take these nuances of Marty Rowe from Diamond Rio and like Hal Ketchum and Billy Dean? How can I take some of their the way that they enunciate and say certain things when they're singing and make it my own? And so that's kind of what I did. So that's great to hear another singer say that same thing, that you kind of just made your own voice from, because you do. Yeah, that, I mean, to me, you didn't sound, you sounded damn good. It wasn't like someone that I would, it's something different. You're not like everybody else. I think it's great.
Well, I appreciate it. You know, George Jones, Billy Sherrill had a heck of a time with him back in the day, getting him to not try to sing like Lefty Frizzell or Hank Williams, you know.
I did not know that.
Yeah, but, you know, he knew he had George Jones in there. And he'd tell him, you know, he'd say, George, we've got a Lefty, we've got a Hank, I want to hear George, you know. And it, you know, obviously he found his way.
He did
to do his thing. But, you know, man, if you go back and you listen to some of that old Lefty Frizzell stuff, there is a lot of similarities in what George Jones does in his singing and stuff. It'd be worth, you know, while you're
Actually, I'm going to write that down because I'm going to look that up.
Yeah, yeah. Some of them you think that some of I've actually heard of Lefty Frizzell song before and thought that it was George Jones, but come to find out after I Shazammed it, it wasn't.
Well, before I get into something else, touching on the possum, there's a new kid in town. It's out now. People can. I mean, I'm on Spotify right now, and so be sure y'all stream it, buy it, download it, and tag Jason Byrd, BYRD, and Billy Dean because it's good. You can actually, why don't you go ahead and go to Spotify and just hit the follow button for Mr. Jason. Jason, you've got quite a bit of hits on Spotify now that I'm looking. Like on Rose in Paradise, 263,000 plays. Sounds good to me. 265,000 plays. To me, that's pretty special. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about those numbers, and I've worked hard for them all, and I try to give a little love to each one of those songs and try to see which ones stick,
yeah.
And so far, I think everything's kind of done well. Some have done better than others, but it's just a matter of somebody coming across the song whenever they're in the mood to listen to it. Because I do have a ballad or two on there that you got to be in the mood for those. But
tell me one of the ballads so I'm gonna listen to it later.
I've got the duet that I did with George, "Better Life," that's on there, and then I've got another ballad on there called "No End in Sight."
Wait. Jason Byrd.
Yes, sir.
Did you just tell me that you had a duet with George Jones called "Better Life"?
I do. I sure do.
Well, you sure do. Look at that.
Yeah, I'm excited. I wrote that song, and I had no idea when I wrote it. I was actually trying to get an Alan Jackson cut. So I kind of wrote it in what he was doing, that kind of vibe that he was doing at the time. But Alan Jackson was writing everything that he had, so he didn't really go outside for much.
Right. Yeah.
He had so many songs, he was letting other people cut them. But anyway, I got the idea from my grandfather's funeral. The preacher was talking about the tombstone and the significance of the dates on it, and then the line or the dash in between the dates he really focused on and said, that was the most important part because that was who my grandfather was, and that's who we knew, and that's why everybody was here. And I thought that was really cool, so I just kind of put it in the back of my mind. And when I sat down to write one night, it just kind of started coming to me. So I wrote that song, and it didn't take me but just a little bit to write it. It just kind of
means it's a great song if it didn't take you
long. Or it's really bad.
No. Oh man, well that's what I was going to get into after we talked about There's a New Kid in Town, because Claire had told me that it wasn't just a duet y'all sang together. You actually knew Mr. Jones and Nancy, and I was I want to ask, how did that ever come about? Because I mean that's not just like saying, yeah, I know so and so. You knew the daggum legend king himself.
Yeah, well, and
that's pretty special.
It was special for me too, man. I had no idea that I would ever get a chance to meet the man, much less work with him. I grew up with his music, and we didn't have the internet really, to where we could look people up and find out anything about them. Whatever you learned about them, you heard on the radio or you saw them on Hee Haw,
Yeah.
But I didn't have the Nashville network out at my house.
Did you not?
No. So anything I knew about them, I had to find out on, by listening to the radio and just going and seeing them. So going to see people live to me wasn't for me to go party. It was for me to actually see who that was singing that song. So a buddy of mine in radio named Bill Kelly here in town, he and I became really good friends, and I just finished up a demo, and George came to town with Vern Godston and Conway Twitty, and they were the sponsoring station, so he got me some tickets, and I was out there in the audience, and between acts, I can't remember who it was, but he came up and found me in my seats and said, "Hey, you won't ever guess who I just talked to backstage." And I'm like, "Who?" And he said, "Nancy Jones." I'm like, "All right, who's that?" because like I say, you didn't,
Mhm.
I didn't know,
Mhm.
I just remember
Mhm.
George being married to Tammy.
What year would
They
that have
were-
been, Jason? Do you think?
Huh?
What year would that have been about? You think?
Oh man, it was probably 90 or 91, somewhere in
Okay.
there.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, so anyway, he said, I told her about you, and she wants me to mail her up a demo. She said she's interested in taking a listen to it to see, what's going on. So he sent her one up there, and a couple of weeks later, I was still living at home, and my mom asked me to, the phone rang, and she told me it was for me, and said some lady named Nancy, and it was Nancy Jones calling me, and
Wow.
she said that she and George had listened to my demo. It was like a 4-song demo, uh,
Uh-huh.
and really liked what I was doing, and was interested in talking to me about helping me, in the business.
Wow.
Just, she said, when can you be in Nashville? And that's about 8.5 hours.
Yes, sir.
But no, we planned it for a couple of weeks after, and went up there and just called her when I got into town early that morning, and she said, well, if you're out this way tonight, come by. And I was like, well, I'm going to be out that way.
Oh
And they
my
still lived in
gosh.
Brentwood, So we rolled up, and I didn't have any idea what to expect. I'd never been around anybody like that before. So I'm
Who'd you
expecting.
take with you?
I took my guitar player, Rod Jones, and my dad went with me.
Oh wow. Mm.
Yeah. We rented a Cadillac and everything, man. We were.
No.
Yeah. And they had Waffle
Wow.
House the whole way up and the whole way back.
That's awesome. God, what a great story. Keep
But,
going.
but yeah, I mean, I was expecting to pull up and have, a guard gate, where then my name needed to be on the list or whatever. But no, it was a nice big house for sure at Brentwood.
Yeah.
But, we pulled right up to the front door there and rang the doorbell, and she answered the door, and George was sitting through the foyer. I could see him sitting in the living room with his feet kicked up, watching Cops on TV. And so we just visited with them for, a long time, sat there, and he wanted me to play a song, for him. But at the time, I couldn't play the guitar at all, period. It was a prop. It wasn't until later in life that I got to where I could play it better. But I was trying,
Yeah. Yeah.
hence why I brought my guitar player.
Right. Yeah. Heck
Still
yeah.
I'm not a I'm not a Steve Warner or a Brent Mason either now, but I get by.
That's awesome.
But he, so we just ended up sitting there in his living room and played him some of the songs off the demo and stuff. And Nancy and him asked me, if I'd be interested in managing me. So we signed a deal and we hit the road, and things just started happening,
What?
Yeah, she managed me for a long, long time. And then, I was on the road with George for a while, opening up for him. We did a lot of dates together, probably
Man.
50 or 60 dates a year, something like that. It was a bunch. But, yeah, man, we spent a lot of time together. And then, when I was in Nashville, I'd stay at their house. And then we just became really close. Their family became like my family, and we'd go on vacations together and stuff like that, So when George passed away, it wasn't me just losing a music icon.
Mm-hmm.
Not only my mentor and everything else, but he was just a really dear friend of mine. So there's a part of me that passed away with him, and I thought also probably my dreams of ever doing this for a living were probably gone also, because he was, one of the very few that were still out there being a champion for traditional country music.
Oh man. Wow. What were that blows my mind. Claire didn't tell. She said, just ask him if you know anything about the possum, and she wouldn't give me all the details. So I got cold chills just thinking about night after night. How many times were you? I'm sure you did, but how many just sitting on the side of the stage, just watching him? It has to be incredible.
Well, I had to every night because I'd open up, and then if George felt like it that night, he'd call me up and we'd do a song together during his show. But if he didn't feel like it, he wouldn't. But I wouldn't know that until he got to that part, whether he was going to call me up or not. So I'd have to sit over there the whole time anyway. But I'm glad that I did, because, you see it, and there's just never one. There wasn't the same George Jones show every day, any night. It was always something different. And a lot of people were saying, well, George, he's getting old. He can't sing like he used to. And that's rap. George could sing just as good as he wanted to when he wanted to.
Jason,
And
hold on 1 second. My
okay.
dog, I have a lab, and he just knocked over my guitar. He knocked
Uh-oh.
over the studio light. He knocked over the. Hold on. Oh gosh, I mean it's all good. Hey, here I am with representing Spotify, and they are dog going crazy. They get what they get. That's all I gotta say.
That's right.
The last thing I heard was you had said that he had a different show every night.
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, his show it was pretty, it was laid out the same for the most part.
Right. Yeah.
He just did things different. He never sang the song the same way every time.
Reckon
It was
why?
just awesome. All he had to do was stand up there and sing, and people went nuts. And I think that's great considering.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Now,
Yeah. He can hold it in the palm of his hand.
He did, man. He did, and I mean, it just shows you the power of a song and the ability of artists to put that song to translate that song in a way that just grabs people,
Man.
So it was really cool, very cool. And I just learned so much from him, about everything.
I bet. I mean, how could you not? That's incredible. And I cannot wait to listen to Better Life. I can't, man. This is. Do you care if I just listen to a little bit right now?
No, go right ahead.
I got to, yeah. I love George Jones. Love him.
He comes in on the second verse.
Okay. Can you hear it?
Yes.
When Mom and Dad got married back in 1962, he picked out a gift for her to show his love was true. A locket with a picture and 2 dates engraved inside. She asked him what the dates meant, and here's how he replied. He said the first day is the day that I was brought into this world. The proudest sole possession of my granddad's little girl.
Yeah.
The line between's when I was learning how to be a man. The second day is when I met you, and a better life began.
Oh, that's good.
It's been almost 7 years now since Mama passed away. I never will forget the words the preacher said that day. I sat there holding back the tears and held on to my life. As he talked about her tombstone, how it represented life. He said the first day is the day that she was brought into this world. Written image of her mom, her daddy, little girl. The line was her time here on earth with family and friends. Second day when she went with the Lord, and her better life began. Second days when she went with the Lord, and her better life began.
Oh my gosh, Jason. Ooh.
That's country.
Oh man, I got more cold chills on me. Was that George's last?
I don't believe it was. I think he cut some stuff. I think he cut something with Aaron Lewis.
Okay.
But I don't. He never did another record after
Right.
that he had stuff out. But I think he did do something with Aaron Lewis. I'm not real sure. That that was actually a fluke that he ended up on that. You know, we were in the studio that day, or going to the studio that day. I was downstairs drinking some coffee, and George come in and he was telling me what he was going to town. I said, "Well, I'm gonna be in town too. I got to go to the studio today." And he said, "Well, I may stop by." And I said, "Yep, come on." You know, so we had just finished cutting that and had a rough cut of it. And he came in and I played it for him, and I don't think he'd ever heard it before. But he listened to the rough that we had on it. And he said he loved it. And I said, "I wish you'd have pitched that to me. I'd have recorded it." And I said, "Well, go get you some headphones on and go in there and sing on the other half of it, and we'll make a duet out of it." And he did. So that's how that came to be.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
no lawyers or managers or nobody had to make it happen for us. We were able to do it right by ourselves.
like it used to be.
All right.
Man, was he driving at that point? Was he still just getting around on his own, or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. George was in good shape, man. In fact, I mean, he drove all the time. Even, well, you know, he drove that one day for sure. But after that, man, George would go out on the road, and he was a restless soul. You know, he'd get home and he, you know, would miss being out on the road. He'd go out on the road and he couldn't wait to get back home. But he loved to drive and he loved to buy cars and vehicles. Every time he went, it was just about that he had a different vehicle. So he had to be so upside down and stuff that it's crazy.
Man.
I liked it. I got to check out all kind of new cars and trucks.
Oh, I bet you did. I bet you did. I did. Just reminded me that where did I hear this? It was either an interview or at a concert. Winona had said something to the effect, because that was like her man, you know, her guy. You know, she loved the possum, and she said so. She remembered one time. I think she either called him or he had called her. And she was like down and out or whatever, and he said, "Well, honey, just get in that car." And or he said something like, "Honey, when I get down and out and I feel like I'm not important anymore, I just get in my convertible and I'll ride through town and let people recognize me, and I'll give them away. It makes me feel better," or something to that effect. I probably got that all wrong, but I thought it was cool.
She told, and she may have told it a couple different times, but the time I remember hearing her say that was actually at his funeral when she got up
okay,
and sang and talked. But that don't mean she didn't tell that story again. But I just remember her talking about that then. So
well, maybe that's where I heard it then. On that, because it was on the. I think they had it at the Opry, didn't they?
They did. Yeah.
Yeah. So you were there, I assume.
I was. Yeah. As soon as I got the word, I had. Went up there. Yeah, man, it was a sad day, you know, to get that news and everything. But you know, the amount of people that showed up was just a real testament.
Yeah,
you know, to how important he was in the business and everything. And every time I go up there, I go to Nashville about once a month, and I always go by the graveyard and say hey to him.
Oh wow, yeah. Do you let's see, what did Lori say?
You're killing me tonight. Oh,
what is that? Hold on one second.
I do have to have that concoction. You know, I don't.
Do you hear that?
Yeah.
Before I go on stage.
Oh, okay.
Ever.
Yeah.
Did
when I get on stage and I start singing, there comes the little limb.
I literally have no clue. That's hilarious. I was trying to tell you something that Lori said last night on when she came on. She came on again, and then when I said that, it's like it just started playing on my other computer. I don't know if
wow.
And I don't even have Siri on.
They're still listening.
You know, but anyway, Jason, this has been so cool talking to you.
Well,
I was so excited. Claire had told me some really cool stuff about you, and she was bragging on you and just really does. She does. Claire's awesome, but she was really bragging on your voice and your heart and your love for the traditional country music, and then the song New Kid in Town, and then Better Life. Y'all, if you are a George Jones fan, you will love Jason Byrd, and I'm not kidding, man. You're on my. I'm subscribing to your channel. I'm gonna start.
Wow.
Keep it spinning. I just love that. I love traditional country music and your voice. And that when I was listening to Better Life just then, I was thinking, man, I could just hear that pure Mark Chestnut. Not that you're sounding like Mark, but
No.
For me, Mark is traditional, damn good vocals. You have this. I put you up there with him, man. He's all in my eyes. He's just he gets it, and I feel like you get it too. And you have.
I do. I appreciate it. And that's we're hoping to get out and do some stuff in Texas and even South Georgia, North Georgia.
Oh yeah.
That's where we're kind of focusing on right now is regional, all the way over to Texas, and maybe a little bit up into cowboy country, but because that's my people, they're the people that are going to like traditional country music.
No doubt.
And everything. So I appreciate you letting me come on here and do this podcast with you because, every opportunity we get to get in front of new people and expose them to what it is that we're doing is a win. And that's how we have to do it, just one
exactly
fan at a time,
Do you have anything you're working on for 24?
Well, it's a bunch of work. Yeah. Hopefully we're going to stay pretty busy. I'm really going to hopefully be out on the road even a little bit more than I was this year. But I don't know how that's going to shape up just yet. We've got a bunch of stuff coming in, but
yeah.
And then just release some new music. We're going to keep putting music out about every 6 to 8 weeks. The next won't come out until right after the first of the year. But then after that, we'll be on that 6 to 8 week schedule. And
man,
I've got a bunch of stuff in the can, so I need to get some of that out. And I've got a bunch of stuff that I still want to go back up and record also. So I'm hoping to be busy, and Billy and I are going to be on next month. I think at 14th of December, I think we're going to be on Country Coffee and Cody with WSM.
Oh,
so that
yes.
Do that.
I love that show.
Me too. Hopefully it'll help me get back on the Opry again. It's been a while. I'm looking forward to getting back on there.
Oh, you played the Opry.
I did twice.
Man, that's great.
Yep, sure have. I was on there. Both times with George was on there. Both nights that I was on there also. But Dirks Bentley, Joe Nichols, Trace Atkins, a bunch of them were on there. And that was actually the first place I ever played Better Life Live was on the Opry. So, and it was at the Ryman because it was during the holidays. Both times I was on the holidays, different years. But
so you got to play not only the Opry, but the Ryman.
Yeah. So
not many people get to say that, Jason.
I've never played the Opry House out there at Opryland. So maybe one of these days I'll get. I'm not complaining. I'd love for the Opry to be at the Ryman still, but I would like to one day get to do that out there.
Are you playing? Are you doing anything for Daryl Worley's Christmas event at the Opry?
I'm going to be up there because I got to go up and do some writing that week, and then we're doing a photo shoot and then doing that show on the 14th that morning. But I'm going to be there, and Billy's going to talk to Daryl, I think, and see
nice.
If maybe we can do our song together. But I don't know what kind of structure he's got in the show or that kind of thing. So
I think I don't know what I think. How many? I can't remember how long Daryl's doing that, but we're going to try to go up for at least a couple of days. I believe I want to go to that show. So
I think it's already started.
I think you're right.
Who did he have on there the other day? I can't think, but he's already got. It's already started.
So it started right there around Thanksgiving, I bet, didn't it?
I think so. Lori's going to be on there. Billy's going to be on there.
Yeah.
Who was that group that he had on there the other time? It'll come to me about the time we're finished. but yeah, I think he's doing a few weeks up there.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool. Do you know if is he Nashville or is he somewhere?
Seems like he moved back to the East Coast.
I want to say that too.
South Carolina area, Georgia, somewhere over there.
Yeah, I believe you're right.
Yeah. I think he's, yeah, I'm pretty sure that he's back over there.
He's coming on the show sometime. So I don't know. We don't have the date yet, but he's supposed to be coming on the show. So I'm excited to talk to him.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I like Daryl.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. Big old tall fella.
Is he?
He's taller than me.
There's so many. I like this crazy. I won't. Well, I guess they wouldn't care, but like, you know, just being around some of them backstage, they're like, a lot of these artists that you just picture them being 6 foot tall, but some of them are just, little things.
Yeah, they're little tiny fellas.
Yeah, and they got these amazing voices.
Angle of the camera, man.
It is.
The lights on. Makes you look skinnier too.
Yeah, exactly.
It's important.
Oh, yes. And your website, Jason, is jasonbyrd.com?
JasonByrdMusic.com.
Music.com, my bad.
Yep.
So it's jasonbyrdmusic.com. That'll be also that'll be in all the footnotes for like Apple and Spotify and YouTube and all that stuff, because I want people to check you out, and hopefully they will subscribe. You got a YouTube channel as well?
I do, man. I tell you, because I do all of my social media myself right now. And I want to hire. That's one of the big things I want to see happen in 2024 is to get somebody to do that for me. But but you have to kind of pick right now, man. And I can't do them all. You know, it's kind of to navigate all that. But
it's a lot.
I try to bounce back and forth between them all. I need to pay more attention to YouTube, to be honest with you. But I just haven't. I got to write songs and play music sometime, you know. So it is. It's a lot. And just, it's crazy that we're even having to talk about social media today. But it's such a huge platform for artists, independent artists too. It is. And I tell you, a lot of people complain about it. I'm not complaining. It is a lot of work. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Or not very time consuming. It's not work. I've actually worked. I was a roofer once, so I know what work is. But but it takes up a lot of time. But it's a great way to get in touch or get in front of a bunch of people that you didn't have before. You had to rely on radio, and radio is still relevant. Don't get me wrong, but this is just another outlet that you have at your fingertips. That if you put enough time into it, the word will start getting out there about you. I think. So I think it's a benefit for people like myself to have that for us to work with.
Definitely, I agree. It's But man, I'm telling you, the day we live in now, it's like a guy like you who's got this incredible voice and great songs. It's like some of these guys they don't get played on radio, like your Tyler Childers, your Zach Bryans, and all these guys that are, got that country flavor.
Right.
They are just, they don't even need radio. So I'm telling you right now, be encouraged, because you got some damn good songs, and I'm gonna promote some stuff for you. I don't know. There's something you got something special,
well,
and I think you're keep plugging away, man. God's got some plans for you.
Bro, you're right. I don't know what they are, but we'll find out together.
Hey, that's when he's probably laughing. Oh, you just wait, Jason, until I show you what's just around the corner.
I hope so.
Well, man, thank you so much for hanging out with us. This is awesome. I've really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to call Claire and say, hey, Claire, we're going to have him back on. So whatever, if you have something going on next year or even in the spring, man, let's get you back on. Let's talk to you again. I want to hear some more stories, and I want to hear some more stories about you, some of your craziest experiences on the road or stuff like that. You're a cool guy. I'm excited, and tell your wife, thank you for letting us have you for a little bit.
Absolutely. And if you guys hear of anything up near Blairsville where you need a country singer, you let me know. I'll come up.
That's it, man. You'll love it up here in the. Have you been before to Blue Ridge or Blairsville?
Oh yeah, we've been all up in that area. I don't know if I've been to Blairsville, but I've been up in that area before.
Yeah, awesome.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Well, cool deal, man. Well, thank you so much, Jason. You've been great. Just hang on for a second. I'm going to press end recording, and just make sure it gets off gets all downloaded on your end. But
Okay.
it's been awesome.
Well, thanks, man.